Today we'll explore how the diversity of Israel has affected the food and cuisine. From the choices in the market to the food on the plate, this is where the action starts.
Whenever I'm in Jerusalem on a Friday, I always have to hit up the market, or in Hebrew, it's called the shuk. It's one of the best ways to experience Jerusalem at its busiest, even though it's totally crowded. It's a great way to watch Israelis all go after one thing: food.
In 1897, a Swiss-German Protestant, Johannes Frutiger, teamed up with Jewish Jerusalem native Joseph Navon to build the neighborhood of Machane Yehuda. Their partnership would grow into a friendship, as together they would build the National Railroad, lay the foundations for new cities across the country, and watch a small market in their neighborhood grow and become known as the main market of the new and growing city center of Jerusalem. This just goes to show that relationships between Jews and Christians isn't just a novelty of today. One of the most iconic experiences of the shuk are the loud vendors yelling out prices for all to hear. This is where the small change comes in handy. Tali Friedman is a local chef whose passion for gastronomy has led her to open up an atelier in the heart of this bustling market. She just recently became the first ever female chair of the shuk, representing the shopkeepers, as she brings this market into the 21st century.
I think this is one of the beautiful things that we have in Jerusalem. This market is a huge market. We have here more than 430 different vendors works in this market.
Wow.
So it means something more than 16 different stalls in here.
You know, obviously I've been to Israel a lot, many times, and there's no better fruits or vegetables than in Israel. Because it's fresh, right?
Because it's fresh, because we respect the products that we want to produce in here. We have the Arabs that live with us and around us, and they grow all these beautiful things, and they are what we call in Israel baladi, what the old world probably know as organic.
Wow.
So we don't use this word a lot because this is how we use it.
It just is what it is here.
This is what it is. This is what you see.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, and everything is very, very fresh.
Tali promised to let me in her workshop to see her culinary experience that combines the food and flavor with culture and history that has made the shuk what it is today.
This is the atelier. Okay. This is my studio. This is the workshop. This is where the people arrive after being touring in the market, after collecting most of the beautiful things that the market has to offer. Yeah. And then we gather here and we start cooking together. Yeah. And this is the concept of this place, to cook together, to have the experience. I don't really admire to teach anyone cooking in one day. Yeah. That's just a pinch of experience the Israeli cuisine and his highlights, and for me, it's the best publicity for our kitchen.
What about Israeli cuisine makes it so unique?
I think we just started to define the Israeli cuisine in the last 10 years. Okay. Israel, it's, I think, one of the biggest melting pot that you can get. Everyone that came from all over the world, almost all over the world, like from Western Europe, and the north of Africa. My roots, for example, are from Tunisia, from Morocco, and from Tripoli. Wow. Just this, it's a huge mix. And some of the people came from Kurdistan, from Iran, so we have all these amazing cuisines gathered together. I think like 2 decades ago, if you would have arrived to Israel, you probably would have been eating only falafel and hummus.
And that's what most people think about Israel, and like, what do I get to eat in Israel is
wow, hummus. A lot more than that.
Yeah.
Tali took me upstairs to the roof where you get a chance to see one of the best views of the market. It's also a great place to enjoy a tasting.
What is this? This looks amazing.
Remember the eggplant that we talked about before? Yeah. That's the baladi eggplant. Yeah. So after it's been roasted like straight on the flames, we peeled it. We kept some of the skin out of it to give it all the strong aroma and flavors. It has a bit of tomato seeds, fresh thyme, sea salt, black pepper, reduced balsamic vinegar, and a bit of raw tahini. And that's it.
So this has been your life, and you've been here working in the market for 14 years. Does it ever get old?
Oh, never. I grew up in this market. My mom, she still lives at the end of this road. So every day I was just walking by and walking through this market. When I'm going out for a vacation, I really, really miss the market. Like, you truly need to believe me that the first thing I want to do when I come back to Israel is just to get here to this market. So this is my life, this is my true passion, and it combines also my true passion of cooking. So just to come here every morning and see the people and see the products, not being very objective, I'm in love with this market.
One of the most iconic sounds in Jerusalem is the Shabbat horn, the warning sound that Shabbat is 30 minutes out. This is a useful warning for observant Jews who, in most cases, are running to make it home with their much-needed supplies for the most important gathering of the week, the Shabbat meal. I've been hosted by Phaedra Shapiro, whose passion for hosting Shabbat meals has allowed her to be a bridge for Jewish-Christian relations.
So for people who wouldn't know, where does the concept of Shabbat come from?
So Shabbat is not only in the Bible, but it's right in the beginning of the Bible. It's there at creation. And at first, this is something that only God does on the seventh day. After God completes all of the work of creation, God ceases from creation and rests on the seventh day and sets it aside as something special. Also understand later we see Shabbat in the Ten Commandments, where people are instructed to keep the Sabbath, to remember the Sabbath. So it becomes something that that people participate in. So it's not only something that God does, but it's something that people participate in. And it's really part of kind of an imitation of God as well.
In Shabbat, in Israel, everything sort of shuts down. And it, especially here in Jerusalem, where we're at right now, it just shuts down. It's almost like a ghost town, you know, as far as, you know, not too many cars driving on the road.
It's really true. I mean, a Shabbat in Israel, and especially when you see an entire busy, big city shut down, is really something that we don't have any experience with in North America. And nothing's open. So even if, you know, putting aside all of the sort of religious reasons to keep Shabbat, it has a really important social function. And so it means that families get together because there's nothing else going on. And so it really holds family and society in a much tighter kind of embrace when you all have that day off. One of the most enjoyable parts of Shabbat is eating together, to have a meal where nobody's in a rush. I don't always cook so much during the week, but Shabbat is the time that I'm going to invest. And so Shabbat meals are absolutely the best of the week. It's something that we want to put our best into. If we have something special, we save it for the Shabbat. A new dress, we save it for the first time to wear on Shabbat.
And so you have, you know, obviously some of the traditions that are a part of Shabbat. You have, you know, the blessing of the challah, and you have the blessing of the wine. Maybe tell me a little bit about those particular traditions.
Sure. There are some extra ritual elements that are part of the Shabbat meals. So we make a sort of a special set of prayer, kind of sanctifying the Sabbath day, involving the wine, involving the bread. Yes, and then there is we bless our children on the Sabbath. God says that the Shabbat is eternal covenant for the generations. And so it reminds us that these are the generations here, sitting here with us.
Phaedra's promised to show me how to braid challah bread, one of the most iconic symbols of the Shabbat table, a tradition whose roots go back to the time of Abraham.
Over like this?
Yeah, tuck it under a little. Awesome. That's great.
First ever.
This is gonna be beautiful.
All right.
Yeah, then we make kind of like an egg wash to go on top, so it has like a shiny top, and then we can sprinkle on some sesame seeds, and it's gonna be gorgeous.
Great.
All right.
This is the first time in all my years of coming to Israel that I've actually done this. It's great.
So it's about time. It's overdue.
The commencement of Shabbat is done by the woman of the house, who brings in the light and blessing for the day of rest. This is also the point when cooking stops and all the electronic devices are switched off. This is the time when most Israelis shut off and recharge, and that includes our cameras. After much needed rest, I started an early departure to Tel Aviv. This is a city jam-packed full of high-end restaurants and cafes that have made a mark on Israel's culinary scene. Blackout is no exception. They've crafted an experience that takes you into the mind of the deaf and blind. I met up with Oren Itzhaki, the director of Nalagat, a center for the deaf and blind that hosts the Blackout Kitchen.
So tell me what Nalagat means.
Nalagat, in English, it's please touch.
Okay.
This is the only place that you can touch.
Okay.
And why is that? Because it's the only way to communicate with the person that is blind and deaf.
So you don't hear all your life, and then you also start to lose your vision.
Exactly.
You see people that come in here all the time with this.
In Israel, there is more than 1,000 people
Wow.
that have Usher syndrome, and most of them know Nalagat is the only place that they have opportunity to actually to work and to bring something from themselves.
This has become a center for events, education, as well as the arts. But what brought me here today is the food. Truly a mind-opening experience that puts you into the realities of the blind as you heighten your senses.
Okay, guys, we're gonna try to pour water into this glass, and I'm just telling you, it's very dark here. It's gonna make a mess. Okay, I hear it going in.
Hi again, I'm Dorit, and I'm the Blackout restaurant manager, and also a professional chocolatier. I have 10 years experience, and today we're gonna taste chocolate in the dark. I guess first time in your life.
It definitely a first.
So you have a plate divided to 3 sections. You already found it.
Yes.
Just try now to search with your fingers for the 2 items that are in this plate.
Yes.
Okay, so every tasting starts with feeling the texture, feeling the temperature or the shape or how smooth or hard is that shape. I'm gonna count from 3 to 1, and when I finish, you can take a bite. 3, 2, 1.
Wow. That was an experience. So you're sitting, in the dark for 20 minutes. You're hearing the explanation, you're tasting things, but, you begin to sort of imagine what it would be like to not be able to see. Of course, you're talking to people that are, that have this issue, and they're just thriving humans, and they're amazing, and they're strong. And then you walk out, after sort of visualizing what it would be like to not have sight. Then you walk out and you're able to see, and it just makes you incredibly grateful. And, it makes you grateful for sight and not wanting to, sort of take advantage of that.
Being back here in Tel Aviv brought me back to my time with Emmanuel Roro, an Ethiopian Israeli who also took me to try some of his favorite dishes. All right, so Emmanuel, you're gonna have to teach me what to do here, okay? Yeah. Because this looks amazing. So tell me, what do we do first?
Firstly, take the injera.
Okay.
This part, it's like the bread.
Yeah.
This sour part, this sour bread.
Yeah.
So we don't want to eat like this. So we're gonna take the churro.
Okay.
It's from the middle.
Okay. Sort of soak it in there.
Put it inside, soak it inside.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Take, if you want some, these tips,
Yeah.
you can take it. I like to take vegetables.
Okay.
So you can take the meat.
Take the meat?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this.
Yes.
It's gonna be a mess too. Okay.
One hand and just pull it inside. One, two, three. Like it?
Amazing. Now, explain what this is right here.
Kind of a bread. It's called teff. It grows only in Ethiopia. Very sour bread.
Yeah.
Take a few days to make it at home. So when you take,
Because you ferment it.
Yeah.
It's ferments. Which looks like we have a little bit of vegetarian options here tonight. Some jalapeno, which, you know, being from Texas originally, it certainly is, makes me feel at home. So this is good. You're welcome. One of the most amazing and flavorful experiences you can have in Israel is at Ramas Kitchen. Rama Ben Tzvi has dedicated her life to the exploration of food and function. Conscious of realities that people faced before the advent of modern cuisine, here they go back to the basics.
So Rama, what inspired you to open Rama's Kitchen?
What inspired me to open Ramas Kitchen over 26 years ago was the very deep feeling that actually here, for me and for my family, is paradise. When we started the restaurant 27 years ago, the notion in Israel of farm to table, no one heard about it. But where we live, since we are in Israeli terms, remote from the city or the stores, so for many, many years we grew our own vegetables. So growing vegetables and then eating them was a natural way for us.
So you were doing this before it was sort of a thing, farm to table.
Absolutely.
All over the world, it's in America, certainly farm to table is sort of a newish thing. But you were doing it for 27 years.
Yeah, it was really natural.
In 2016, a devastating forest fire swept up the valley, burning down Rama's kitchen, leaving the area in ashes and Rama without hope. Despite the tragic event, Rama's family reunited to comfort her and rebuild the family legacy.
So, Rama, your restaurant here has a really interesting story, and there's a really interesting chapter that happened recently. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
So actually, Ramas Kitchen #1 was bigger than Ramas Kitchen #2, and it spreaded all over the way until this tree.
Okay.
And on a Friday afternoon, November 25th, 2016, there was a wedding in the restaurant. And then in the mountains over there that you can see through the tree, a very big fire started. There were very strong eastern winds. So the fire got very fast close to here. About 1 hour after the fire started, one of the firemen came and said, "You have to evacuate the people." So we all left, and I drove down, 100 meters, and then I got out of my car and I looked backwards and I saw a big pile of black smoke. And this was the first moment that I said, "Wow, it's me," and I collapsed. Like it was the first moment that I realized
Your restaurant was gone.
Yeah, and it's not my restaurant, because when I say my restaurant, it's something that is a little bit far from me. When I said it's me, this is how it felt. It's not something that belongs to me, but it's something.
But it's
that
your
is
identity.
me.
It's part of who you are. It's part of,
Yeah, the whole
what
family,
makes,
my children, my grandchildren. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a great story behind that, and I think a great story of resilience.
Yeah, we were like a team of survivors that are hanging on one rope to get out, and we knew that if one of us leaves the rope, everyone else is going to fall down.
This tree here, you had told me that this is remnants of sort of the fire. You see,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it was burnt, and then you can see that it grows anew, and it has beautiful flowers.
Oh, look at this. This is a beautiful picture. Wow.
Yeah, and it's very
sort of like, the Ramas Kitchen 1
and Ramas
Kitchen 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
I'm always amazed by the resilience of so many Israelis who seem to keep living despite the circumstances. And it couldn't be more true with the Jewish people, that when times get tough, life goes on.